Hello, my trainers, and welcome to the making of the thumbnail for Dubwool. This one was one of the few where I kind of started really not in the mood. I had a bit of a God, I want to just quit moment with this, but honestly, I'm so happy I pushed through because I think at the end I made something really, really nice. So, starting with the face, you'll see me kind of switching back and forth a lot because, again, I'm just kind of in a mental fog at the start of this one, so I'm just trying to map out in my head the white marking on the face. I feel like I didn't trust my sketch a lot, and I got too wrapped up in trying to be a little more exact to the original design. But eventually, once I shake that notion off, it really starts flowing. So making the cute little snoot and trying to make sure that my layers are right. I've been getting a lot better about my layers. And then again, just flipping back and forth, trying to wrap my head around the up angle of the face and how much of the white would show and how much of the other color would show. Eventually, I finally blocked that out. Also, sorry if I seem a little low energy for this recording. I just did a whole bunch of recording before this, and I recently came out of some dental surgery, so the antibiotics are quite a doozy. But like when I was making this thumbnail, I will push through this episode. Huzzah! So yeah, coloring in the white for the face. It's honestly around when I get to those top horns that I really start choking up. Because I noticed with the original design, the horns are a lot more spread out like forks than what I have sketched here. Because I sketched it a bit more like like a different type of cartoony ram I'm used to seeing. So I try raising the one a bit more, but then it just kind of starts looking like a unicorn horn next to the other one. And I just try all these different angles. I eventually try copy pasting, and I think I get kind of close at one point before I just pull out and throw faith back into my sketch. Yeah, here I try the copy paste method. I feel like that could have worked if I dared to drag it a bit lower, but again, this is mainly just an angle I'm not used to. A lot of these thumbnails definitely help challenge me for angles and dynamics that I don't typically draw. So it was a bit of a learning curve, I guess you could say. But yeah, I pitch that out the window. I try going back to my original sketch until I have an idea to try just one more thing. Yeah, I try poking it out there, but then the other horn just looks way too curved. Because it also doesn't help with the original design of Dubwool, with it being a quadruped, you have a wider profile, I feel, whereas when I made it bipedal, it has a lot more of a narrower, tall profile. Yeah, here I try. I feel like that method could have been on the right track, but I was just getting so frustrated and I really didn't want to quit the drawing, so I just eventually said, good enough. As they say on North of the Border, it's not just good, it's good enough. And then I just started taking a bit more of my creative liberties. So like for here, I'm adding much more of the ribs of the horn, because honestly, I feel like the original design almost looks like kind of overcooked hot dogs in a way. Like you have those grill marks and then it's so dark and shiny. I didn't really want that. Or loaves bread, I guess. I wanted more of the traditional multi-ribbed ram horn. So blocking out the color here. Yeah, once I got more color blocked in as well, I started getting a little more confidence. So, because I had to push through obviously because I needed a thumbnail for the audio posts, like, I really needed a thumbnail. There wasn't anything I could just slap on as like a temporary thing. Because I don't want to lower my standards to that. I don't want to start just slapping, oh, here is picture of Dubwool. You get it, right? I really want to keep my custom motif on each of these thumbnails, so all the project is close to my passions, and it's more me and has more of my signature on it. Um, so I had to push through, but then in the end, once I broke through that stump, I felt a lot more confident and things started rolling a lot better. So moving on to the main floof, I guess you could call it, or the scarf floof. This one I once again started leaning back a little more to the original design, and so I made those, I don't know, beard forks a bit tighter than I had them, because I had them a bit broad on my original design. But again, with it being more bipedal and more vertical, I feel like the profile is a lot more narrower, so I narrowed those dreads, I guess. I don't know what you would call those. I've done sheep floof before. The first one I did was Mareep, way back in like the single digits. I think it was like episode 2 or 3 that I did Mareep. So I'm already fairly familiar with making fur and wool, primarily wool. So I did the outline. I initially tried to just select the area, but since my outline wasn't a complete circuit, I just started blocking out the area with color. And then that way I can select it, and Paint.net has a very nice tool of render clouds, which I use for a lot of my base textures. It's pretty quick and simple. You select the two colors that you want within the texture. So in this case, I have the lighter gray and then the darker shadow gray. And then you render clouds, and it makes this, right here, this texture effect, and you can adjust the scale and how rough it is. I went with kind of a more like felt wool, so it looks a lot more, not exactly rough, but like tighter curls. Um, this is also where I finally decided where to put my Ditto Pink, because the colors are pretty spread apart, and I wasn't fully sure if I wanted to do either the body or the wool color, but it helps that I have an exaggerated arm, like a more anthropomorphic arm for one of the legs, so I decided to go with the main body, because then, if the wool gets sheared, you still have the Ditto Pink. And also I feel like this color balance is a bit better. So yeah, working on that thick mommy arm. I initially, because I wanted to have it kind of proud on their hip, because this is the episode where they are crowned the Easter maiden, and so they have this definite pride to them and a little bit of sass, but in the episode they are mostly soft. It's a date night episode, so it's safe for work and anyone can watch it. I'll have a link in the notations to it. So yeah, here I decided to go a bit more with the hoof, because initially I had it just trying to be off camera, but I realized for the more sheepy arm effect, it would make a little more sense for the hoof to be higher up on the arm. So I slap it on there. I'm cleaning up the edge lines there a bit, because I definitely keep my outline and my colors on separate layers, so sometimes when I block in the color, I don't quite meet up on the edge. So sometimes I just have to go in and touch that up a bit. And with the cloud rendering effect, if you keep it small, it's pretty easy to touch up areas without it looking like it's band-aided, or it's got a band-aid slap on it, or, whatever analogy you want to do. So doing the spots of the wool, and once you do one rendering, it'll remember it as like the last action you did with it. So I was able to just block out the colors, select it, and then repeat cloud render so it has a consistent texture to it. Because it won't reuse the colors you had. You still have to have the colors you want selected, but it'll have the roughness and scale that you used previously if you don't use any other transition effects. It's very useful in my opinion. And I just love the look. So since this was a Easter episode, for all of my holiday episode thumbnails, I like having a more unique background because typically I would use the original colors of the Pokemon. But with the holiday ones, I want them to pop a little more or be a little more distinct. So with the Easters, I decided to go with these bright, not quite pastel, but just very lively spring colors and just using a striping effect and zooming out to make sure it looks all right. I think it looks really cute, almost like a chocolate store in a way, like a chocolate ad. And touching up the little spots where the bright colors are clearly showing through. And then, yeah, getting the DDD logo slapped on there. And then for each of the date night thumbnails, I like putting the episode number in a heart. So I'm stealing the... Funnily enough, oh, I forgot the little eyebrow thing, so I quickly slapped that back on. But yeah, for the heart, I borrowed the color of the horns, which, funnily enough, does look like chocolate to me. I know chocolate hearts aren't really for Easter, but it's close enough, and, you know, chocolate bunnies. And then the number 4 to indicate, obviously, date night number 4. I have the date nights and the training sessions as their own series, so they have their own number connotation. And then my absolute favorite part, just shining everything up. And again with the horns, it's funny, it's like it has the ribbing texture, but it's still smooth. But I aesthetically really like it. And again, I think it's a little better than the cooked hot dog look of the original one. Yeah, so emphasizing the curve of the arms, the curve of the horns. I didn't put it in the wool because I really just wanted to keep the wool looking fluffy. I don't know. Eventually I could start highlighting, but honestly, I think it would have benefited more from shadows rather than highlights, because with how much I shine everything, I want that to really emphasize the pseudo slime girl effect of being, because this is technically a ditto. So I just feel like trying to put that in the wool would have sent conflicting textile messages, you could say. And just shining that up a bit. So yeah, in the end, I feel honestly really proud of this thumbnail. Funnily enough, I think the thumbnail's a little better than the episode. Because the episode I made about a year ago. So I have improved a lot since then, and it was a bit of an accent practice episode, but the thumbnail I am so super proud of, and I think it is just absolutely adorable. Look at her, so proud. So yeah, that was the making of the Dubwool thumbnail. If you would like, you can access the episode that this was made for. I have playlists for the date nights, and if you are of age, you can visit the training session episodes. And everything else, I have a subscribe star, and I now have a Patreon, which hopefully will be up soon. I will have links in future episodes and future notations, and I look forward to seeing you for our next Pokemon catch. Bye-bye.